Hello, fellow Movie Crusaders, and welcome to a special Jackass franchise retrospective. My name is Sean Wasserkrug. With me, as always, is Brian Michaels. Brian, probably more so than me, is a big fan of Jackass. You were like, I'm so excited for Jackass Forever. You were super excited for this.
I wouldn't consider myself like a big fan of Jackass. Like I don't like, for the most part, I was not like, don't consider my favorite show or movie or anything like that. But when they come out, I absolutely enjoy watching them in the theater.
Yeah, I wasn't one of the people that watched the TV series. I think I watched the TV series after the first film came out because I was like, oh, let me see what these guys are about. Because I remember when this thing came out on MTV, I was just like, well, this just looks fucking stupid. I was like, this makes no sense because I didn't watch CKY or is it CKY or CYK? I think it's CKY. That's what they did before they were Jackass.
Oh, I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Okay.
But yeah, I just thought I was like, oh, this is stupid antics. This isn't television. But then they made a movie, and I was like, I'll check it out, and it was hilarious.
The TV show started in like 2000.
Yeah,
But that was back when MTV still like played mostly music videos. I mean, they were starting to have reality shows and Real World and things like that, and Road Rules and Jackass. But that's how long this was. MTV played music, and so they had the show.
Remember music videos?
Yeah, and there were music videos, yeah. And then was it 2002? The first movie came out, and I think a lot of people were like, "Who wants to watch this in a theater?" I mean, like the only reason they're making this movie is to so they can be uncensored and they can curse and they can show nudity or whatever they want to do, which they absolutely do. But
not female nudity.
Not female nudity. But I was surprised at just how much better the theatrical experience made it. Because I saw that I remember the first one especially, but all three movies, seeing like opening night or at least opening weekend in a theater full of people, and oh my god, it's just so much fun because everybody is like losing their shit, whether it be like being grossed out or just laughing and everything. And it's the kind of movie that I didn't think it needed to be shown in a theater, but it was a ton of fun.
See, and yeah, I'm just kind of the same way with me. I worked at the movie theater at the time when this came out, and so everyone was just like, Sean, let's go see Jackass. Let's go see. I'm like, I don't want to watch Jackass. And they're like, come on, let's go. It's like, all right, fine. So we went, and yeah, it was practically sold out. And I was just like, and I remember I was like the jaded dude there. It's like, this is ridiculous. Why is there so many freaking people here to see this shit? And after the first skit, the very, very first skit, which was I'm not talking about the opening where they're going down the cart.
Red Car Demolition Derby?
Yes, yeah. Rent-A-Car Derby, which is fucking hilarious. I just laugh and I was listening to everyone else. I'm like, okay, this is actually fun. Let's have fun with this. And Jackass the movies. It did something that a lot of the current like skit movies are doing wrong. Jackass just was being Jackass. It wasn't trying to have this storyline like the Impractical Jokers movie or
Bad Trip. I think it was called.
What's that?
I think it was called Bad Trip.
Bad Trip. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, because that's the problem with I mean, they did it with Bad Grandpa, I guess, but they're trying to do these linear stories on top of the skits, and it's just like, guys, follow the Jackass formula and just do the damn skits. No one cares about these fake storylines.
Yeah.
With these characters that we know this isn't a real storyline. Like Jackass is just like, we're just gonna give you an hour and a half of skits, kind of music videos when they do the old people shtick, which we'll get to the old people shtick later. But it works. It doesn't
have to have a through storyline. And they're also very smart, I think, with Jackass in that for the most part, everything is very short. Nothing like stretches on way too long. They don't try and do one prank for 10 minutes. It's just like, here's 30 seconds of this. Sometimes there's 10 seconds.
There's a couple that go.
There's a couple.
I don't think anything longer than like 6 minutes tops. But some of them are just like 10 seconds or 20 seconds. And they move on to this. It's like, so you're getting your money's worth with this. And I mean, these guys, some of them have a particular skill set, which we'll get into. Not necessarily a good skill set, but it's funny. Granted, I would never want to hang out with these guys ever.
Oh, absolutely not. That's one thing I was thinking, especially watching, because I'm about their age, most of them, And so when I watched it back in the day, it's like, I thought, these are not the kind of guys I would want to hang out with. But looking back on it now that I'm a grumpy old man, I'm just thinking how obnoxious all these kids are. I'd be the guy calling the hotel front desk complaining about the noise they're making and shit. It's
See,
just like, oh
there
my
are
God.
some skits in here where they're just pulling pranks on each other, which to me is some of the funniest parts of the movie when they're pranking one
Oh, yeah.
another. And I'm watching, I'm like, this is the dumb shit that we did when we were on the road in wrestling. Like, this is the situations where if we stayed overnight at a place instead of driving back home because we were tired, don't fall asleep first. Because if you fall asleep first, the crap that they do in these three movies, this is the shit that gets done to you if you fall asleep first when you're a pro wrestler. And so, like, I was getting kind of almost PTSD flashbacks where I'm super tired. Like, no, must stay awake. They're gonna do something to me. No, must stay awake. They're gonna shave my eyebrows or something weird like that. But for Jackass, it worked. Not every skit works, clearly, right. And we pointed out there's clearly some skits that are super staged.
Oh, there's super staged, and it's like, well, there's certain ones that you can tell that people are in on it. There's other ones that you can just watch and know that there's no way these people aren't in on it because, security would have been called or all kinds of different things would have happened. A lot of them like that, like the bad grandpa ones, you get that close up to it, I guarantee you people can tell it's makeup and stuff. But it's like I think that a lot of the stuff didn't need to be staged. They can have everybody in on it, not pretend everybody's not in on it, and still be shocking people who are walking past. It can still have fun with it.
I mean, Practical Jokers have done that for 15 plus years. And
yeah, Practical Jokers, you can always tell that there's people that are in on it.
Exactly, and then usually when the people if people can tell who they are, they're like, we're resetting. We're not going to do it here. We're going to go somewhere else. Now, granted, I mean, I now Impractical Jokers is at like I think Jackass level of like celebrity, but like back then when they were doing the show, until it blew up, yeah, these guys could get away with that stuff. But like in these movies, you're gonna have to go to some rural areas to really try and say, oh, I don't know.
That's why they started going to Japan and India and some of these places.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I was like Johnny Knoxville was in like Dukes of Hazzard and all that shit. It's like they're gonna know who he is. Now the rest of the cast, unless you watch Jackass, you're not gonna know Stevo or Pontius or Dunn or Bam, unless you watch like their spinoffs. Like I watched Viva La Bam, and I think it was Bam's Unholy Union when he was getting married. I didn't really watch much of the other things. But yeah, Jackass is it's stupid, mindless fun, but it's an enjoyable 90 minutes each time. I totally didn't even until you brought it up. I didn't know they were making a fourth one. I really didn't until like was it last year you brought it up. I was like, no, they're not. They're too old. You're like, yeah.
Jackass I'm trying to remember if I even knew about it before the first trailer came out, because I just remember. I don't think I did, unless I don't know if maybe the Bam Margera thing, did that come out before the first trailer?
Yeah, the Bam thing happened early last year.
Okay,
like
January. That would have been the first time I heard about it because I didn't know it was coming out either. And I was like, they're making a fourth Jackass movie? And I was like, it's supposed to come out in what, like September, October last year?
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that. So I was really excited for it. And then I got pushed back, but it's like, this isn't the kind of thing like a big blockbuster that I'm going to be really disappointed it comes out. But I was going to just be disappointed if it didn't go to theaters.
Yeah, you were predicting that it was going to go to Paramount Plus because
I was like, if it does that, if nothing else, I'm going to watch it with like you and maybe some other people online because you don't watch it alone. Come on, it takes out half
exactly. And what I'm worried about is when we go see this on Thursday, February 3rd, or for people watching this, that's today. Because hey, newsflash, guys, we shoot ahead of time.
Not tonight. Come on.
I'm afraid that that's what's going to happen. It's going to be like me and like 3 people in the theater, and I'm just like. And if you're the only one laughing, you just kind of feel stupid.
Yeah.
Especially
because now with I think that the audience for this is going to be people our ages because I don't think they're going to bring in new fans because they see this kind of crap on YouTube everywhere.
Yeah, this is something that people do on TikTok and YouTube and Twitter and all that kind of stuff. They'll post these, little vignette videos. And yeah, this isn't granted, they're doing stuff that's Jackass level, but it's not Jackass. And so, yeah, I would hope that most people going are like, 20 and older crowds. I don't see the, teenagers really getting into this unless they really watched the old stuff and thought it was great. In terms of the first film, like I said, to me, I think the first two films, I think are my favorite. Now, granted, watching the third film, we both went back and rewatched these together to kind of get reacquainted with this before we did the show. I was not a fan of 3D, but watching it the other night, I think a lot of the skits hit a lot better than it did when I saw it the first time in theaters. But like in the first one, Rent-A-Car Derby was fantastic. Hands down, my favorite skit of the first film. And it's not, and that's the great thing. It's like everyone's got their own favorite skit, and it could be something that was just 10 seconds, or give it something that was very, very, well, not very, very long, but like a longer skit, like Rent-A-Car Derby. Mine was the air horn golf, because to me that just was the funniest damn thing. I remember just pissing my pants laughing in the theater when I saw the air horn golf, and I kept thinking like, me and my buddies, we can do that. 90% of the other shit they're doing, we ain't gonna do that. But air horn golf, we can totally do. Like
Well, and skits like that always get to me, like the air horn golf, because now it absolutely appears like it's not staged, like they're fucking with these guys. I absolutely think that's true.
So pissed.
But that means that after they were done, somebody, probably the director or some assistant, had to go to those people and get them to sign off so they could show the footage. So I assume they slipped them some cash or something.
Probably.
But it's like, how would you come up to these guys that are already pissed at you and be like, can we use this footage in a movie?
Hey, do you mind you getting pissed off on camera, please? You know, but I mean, there's the Buzz the Hair skit, which I thought was funny. Even though I, like everyone else, I would have been pissed if they did that, because they actually did make the app of the buzzing sound after this movie, so that people could think you're actually doing it with your cell phone. Firework wake up call with April and Phil. April and Phil, Jesus.
Yeah, we were talking about April and Phil. It's like, first of all, how they have not beat their kid to death without things done. But they realize that at this point, he's the one probably bringing in the most money in that house. Yeah. So they're like, okay, you can destroy my truck with fireworks inside it because you're going to pay for it to be fixed.
You can build a sled or a snow ramp in the house and break our door. You can put dangerous alligators in the house, you know, all this kind of shit. But yeah,
and actually, honestly, I've known enough like rich white kids in my life to know that a lot of them end up like that. It's like, I can get away with anything I want.
I will say the one skit, and granted, he did this on the show, but I'm sorry, if I'm taking a shit and my kid comes in and starts hitting me and ripping I'm gonna beat his ass when I get out of the bathroom. That's the one skit where I was just like, dude, come on, like, chill the fuck out. But the April and Phil stuff, that's the ones where it's like, is it staged? But then it's like, no, you've watched like Viva La Bam and stuff like that. He just fucks with his family, to no end. And like I said, nowadays, and I think that's the thing. I think that's where a lot of the Bam stuff in his personal life comes, because now he's not making that money anymore. And he's still trying to pull this shit, and I don't think the family is into it anymore. And you know, Bam, I think he's got one scene in the new movie, because there's a whole, you know, obviously there's a whole this backlash with Bam and, you know, Jackass.
Yeah, people assume that he was out of it completely, but I guess some reports, and I guess some of the clips they've released that I haven't been watching.
Knoxville says there's one skit.
I guess there's at least one skit still in there. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and like I said, Bam. Well, I guess we'll stick with Bam here. Man,
the whiny bitch.
Yes, they like first movie. Bam's just like the coolest mofo around. The second movie and then into the third movie, they turned to Bam. Not turned. I mean, but they're just like, we're gonna like make sure Bam cries in every single way. It's like, you could tell, it's like, man, Bam's gonna quit, because they just profusely continue to just fuck Bam up. Whether it was the snakes or the cattle. Oh god, the cattle prod. That part was bad. But like mostly it's the snakes. And then in the third one, where they dropped him down the chute, and they dropped just snakes.
Snakes in there, yeah.
Shit. It's like they continually made Bam look like a baby. And like, you know, like granted, I mean, these things sucked. Like, it's not like he was overreacting by any means, but like, dude was unsafe. Like, he couldn't go anywhere without just being in danger of them messing with him with snakes or anything like that. And I think the best moment was during the credits of 2, when it was after the snake skit. He's trying to get in the car and he falls inside that mud hole.
Oh yeah.
And it's just like the end of the day, and he's just like, I don't fucking care anymore.
I'm just
It's
over this shit.
like, to me, that was the funniest moment because that was Bam at his literal breaking point where he was just like,
It's actually, I think we both talked about some of our favorite moments in all the movies are where it's just like that things like that where he's just like, I just don't give a fuck. Or better yet, the ones where like something really painful is going to happen, like when they have like that
the
line
beanbag, or
out
was
the
the
balls
beanbag?
and stuff.
No. Like in the very first movie,
In the
it
first
was
one,
when
the
Johnny was gonna get
beanbag or
shot with
whatever.
the beanbag, and the guy's testing. You see Johnny's just like, oh,
And the other guys just walk out like, I'm not, I ain't doing this. Or else you kind of see the look in their face. They turn white, like, oh shit, we can't do this. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that to me was always where you and I watching this now got the most laughs. Was watching them going, like them trying to kind of, I guess, get the courage to do this. Like in 3 with the taser gun hallway.
Yeah.
And they're all just like, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. They're just like all, and then they go, and then they're just pissed off by the end of it. And but yes, that to us, that was some of the best moments was them, because they always just seem like they're fearless and they're gonna do anything no matter what. And there's no, there's nothing they won't do. And then watching the movies, that's I think what made the movies actually better, in my opinion, is that you saw them like legit terrified to do certain things, and some of them saying, "Yeah, I'm not doing this. I'm so glad I said no to this, and that they're doing this." Like I think was it the finale of 1 was the car up the butt, and Dunn did it, but it was supposed to be Stevo.
Yeah.
And Stevo was like, "I am so glad I said no to this because my dad was like." I think he said the line, he's like, I don't think my dad would have disowned me. He goes, but he would have said, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. and so they had Dunn do it. But that to me, I think added so much more character to these guys. It made them feel more like real, like they're real people. But us seeing them in these moments where they are terrified and they're kind of just building up, like especially in the third movie, because Stevo was sober in the third film, and you could tell that Stevo was just not really about most of this crap anymore.
I've wondered how many stunts things they do. They're like, how drunk are they or high that they would,
But see,
agree to
that's the
do
thing.
this and be able to go through with it.
That's the thing is you can actively see Stevo in the third film really just not having a good time doing half the shit because he wasn't drunk. I'm pretty sure Stevo was either high or drunk through most of the first 2 films. And in the third movie with the T-ball. The T-ball. Like you can tell he didn't want to do it, but that was more giggly, like I don't want to do it. But like when he had to do the porta potty bungee, and he's just sitting in there, and he's just like I hate my life. Like first 2 movies. Yeah, I mean this is the guy who did butt chug and shoot firecracker out of my ass.
His mouth, through the side of his mouth.
Yeah, fish hook through his mouth. Let me do all this. But in the third movie, he was just like, I don't want to do any of this because, because you're sober now, And I'm not gonna lie, and I said this to you while we were watching the movies. I think Johnny wants to die via a bull or a buffalo or what have you because he keeps doing these stunts with bulls.
Every movie had at least one skit or scene,
and every time he gets royally messed up.
And there's one in the fourth one too. It's in the trailer.
I honestly actually think that Johnny wants to die that way because every time he does it, like that is of all the movies. Like I remember what was it in the second movie? They're making a big deal about the rocket he was shooting up in. Like Johnny's gonna die. It's like now, granted, there was a malfunction and it shot and it missed him by like that much, and that would have probably killed Johnny. But they're making a big deal. I'm like, this is nothing. He's getting his ass beat by bulls. Like that's where he's gonna die. He's gonna die being trampled by a bull at some point. Right. Like I pretty much think like if he's on his deathbed, he's like, I don't want to go out this way. Put me on a freaking rodeo thing and let some bulls trample me to death so I can go out in style. I literally think that's how Johnny Knoxville is going to die. But that's what I also like about Knoxville's character too, is because Knoxville, obviously he's the leader, he's the host, but he also puts himself out there and does some stupid shit like fighting Butterbean. and clearly getting messed up. I think he's the one that gets messed the most. Like, and he almost like died in the first one with the golf course golf carts.
Oh, the golf cart came over almost on top of him.
Oh, he
And
learned.
then was in the third one, he was just doing like I forget what he was jumping something, and he like was supposed to land a pile of snow, and he overshot and went face plant on the concrete in the parking lot.
Yes, he was. Oh god, was it a cart? No, was it a cart?
I don't remember what he was jumping.
I can't remember what it was on, but he was on something. And yeah, there was a big pile of snow, and
They wanted to land in a snowbank, and whatever he was riding in did, but then he kept going.
Yeah, he went right over it, and he ran it face first. Knoxville is the one who gets probably messed up the most.
Yeah.
Bam gets picked on the most. Well, of the main people, he gets picked on the most. I mean, obviously, of the like medium characters, like they get picked on profusely. But of the main crew, between like Knoxville, Dunn, Pontius, and Stevo, Bam is the one they pick on. Stevo does all the crazy shit, which I think 90% of the Stevo stuff, you and I are like.
Well, Stevo and Dave Englund
puker
tend to do all the gross stuff. They do all the gross stuff. And then Danger Aaron is the one who they put in like the weird shit like spiders and bees and things like that. And
Danger, like Stevo's the puker, England is the shit guy.
Always shit guy with him.
Danger Aaron is the little bitch, where they pump him up to do like, oh man, it's gonna be really great. But in the meantime, they're punking him, like in part 2 with the terrorist skit.
Oh, and one of my favorite things of part 2.
Which,
again, we're not sure how staged it was, because I guarantee you he recognizes.
Yeah, you're telling me that I can't say
Chandrasekhar.
Yeah, I was like, I can't say his last name, but obviously, fucking, wow. I only got in my head of Ramathorn from Super Troopers. You're telling me you didn't recognize him? No, you could do the whole thing. And there's like, well, he had hat on, glasses. He's in the moment. He didn't see it. But there's times where like they were literally face to face outside of the cab.
And he's not disguising his voice at all.
He's not at all. He's slapping with shit.
And that's the third movie. So there'd been like several Broken Lizard movies at that point.
Well, that was this.
That was 2. That was the end of 2. That's the end of 2.
That was the end of 2. So Super Troopers, Club Dread, maybe Beer Fest, maybe.
I'm not sure.
Had been out by that point, but yeah, that whole skit where they, he has to put on the beard and it all ends up being all their pubes, and one of them had crabs. Yeah, it was just like, it's unnecessary, but it's Jackass. Ryan Dunn, R.I.P., was probably one of my most fun ones to watch, because his was, let me do some ridiculous stunt off a ramp or anything like that.
It was eerily prescient, because the dude in most of his skits was crashing into things. And I made some maybe iffy jokes in his expense.
You did, but we're not going to bring that up.
Which we won't bring that up. But he was the one, he would just crash into everything in shopping carts or whatever it may be. And then he was also the one who they would fuck with in terms of like, he'd be doing something else and they'd like hit him in the nuts or something like this randomly. It's like a lot of that kind of shit.
They always hit Wee Man in the nuts too.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dunn, there was one where he took the bicycle into the cactus or cacti for Wee Man. There was that one, was it 2, when he was gonna get slingshot by that shopping cart, and we were like, holy shit, because they did the test.
The thing just flip-flopped. And
honestly, it hurt, but I think Bam saved his life by dropping the door at the last second, because if he got shot out of that, I mean, Dunn would have gotten seriously hurt, but he still got hurt pretty bad in that moment. But Dunn, to me, was one of my favorite ones, because there was the moment where he fought the female kickboxer. He just got his ass beat. I loved Dunn. Pontius, younger me, loved Pontius, because Pontius was, Party Boy, and I loved Party Boy when I was younger.
Party Boy for me got old real fast, though.
Oh, it really did. Watching it now, Pontius to me was kind of the most pointless one.
He just likes to get naked and use his dick in every skit.
Yeah, I mean, God, how many times did we see Pontius's dick in the 3 movies?
And most times it had like, a little mouse costume on it, or just covered in stuff, or to do the. But then by the time you got the 3rd movie, it's just like naked dick. Here you go.
Yeah, I mean, Pontius was, let me say some stupid remark after the skit's over. Let me get naked. Let me dance. and then I'll do any group thing. So like Pontius ended up being kind of the weak link of the main group, which he used to be my favorite. And I was like, oh no, Pontius really is kind of sucky. But yeah, Stevo, like I said, Stevo and David England were probably the ones that you and I were like watching like this, because 9 times out of 10 it was something shit or puke related.
Which they would also tended to be, I will admit, although they're gross, those were some of the funniest skits. The ones that they did to Dave England a lot that I didn't like was I didn't like any skit that involved like bees and shit. Those are the ones I'm like, nope.
They did a lot of B ones. There was what, in 2, they were coming showing up for a photo shoot. Now it wasn't just Dave. It was, I think, Wee Man, Dunn, and Dave were in this skit where they're driving up in a limo and for a photo shoot, and Knoxville and Bam locked the doors from the outside so they couldn't get out of the limo, and they dropped bees through the sunroof, and then they put marbles outside the doors. F that shit.
And then there was the bee tetherball.
Yeah, and then in 3 it was the bee tetherball with Stevo and Dave, which you and I were just like, nope, not even a chance in hell. Nope. Would never.
And then there was Pontius though. He had the scorpion.
Yeah, Pontius had the scorpion with his mouth, and like he got sniped and stung with the tail right on the freaking lip. And then he had the snake biting his dick. Yeah. So I mean, there were certain things like that. And then, Stevo, like I said, he always ate or drank something disgusting, whether it was Preston's sweat.
Oh god, the sweatsuit cocktail, that was the most disgusting one.
Yeah, and then there was when he snorted wasabi.
Wasabi.
Yeah, but the one I think from the first film that I literally could not watch, but you thought was the funniest, was the paper cut.
I thought it was the funniest, but also I thought it was one of the most difficult to watch, because it's one of those ones that every time you just watch it, you just feel like, shit. I can't. They're doing like the inside the mouth, they're doing between the toes.
The funniest part of that whole skit was when they brought Stevo in, and Knox was like, I'm done, Stevo, take over. And then you see Stevo, and he's like, man, I'm so glad I came to see what was going on in this room. Meaning that he wasn't initially a part of it.
Yeah. And he showed up. That's the kind of stuff I liked, where it's clearly just impromptu. It's like they were hanging out in the hotel room and go, hey, let's film ourselves getting paper cuts. It wasn't a big production. It wasn't a big stage thing. It's just, let's do paper cuts. It's like when they did they were doing that strongman skit. And at one point, I forget what it was supposed to be, that went up and hit him, but then Bam goes, wait, wouldn't it be funnier if it was a big dildo went up my ass? And so it's like on the cuff of just off the top of the moment, they're like, okay, let's go get a dildo.
I mean, granted, there were some skits that did not work. Not
because,
well, I mean, there was like the bungee underwear, which didn't work at all. I think the most funniest part about that was them going, this isn't going to work. It might. Well, it's not going to work the way we intended. Like, it was just more than just talking about it. And that was to me. And then they finally did it. I was like, oh, that was kind of lame. But just to get rid of the rest of the mains, Wee Man and Preston, they were the perfect combo together. I mean, having the fat guy
and Preston, though, I almost feel bad for them, because like Preston basically was always just the fat guy. Every joke had to do with him being the fat guy.
Did.
And especially when they pair him up with Wee Man, and it's, hey, it's the fat guy and the midget, and it's just like I would think they'd like to be more a part of regular skits too, and not just be that.
Well, Wee Man was
a little bit more. Yeah.
Preston, not so much. Preston was always kind of has to be something fat centric for the most part, whether it's chasing Wee Man or doing something like sitting on the bench and it falling apart and him ripping his ass, or
super gluing him to Wee Man.
Well, at first it was Bam getting super glued to his chest, and they were like, okay, let's super glue Wee Man, kind of thing. But Wee Man is one of my favorites, because he's thrown around like a toy because it's Wee Man, But to me, I think he was one of the ones when he got hurt. I feel like he not sold it, because it wasn't like he was selling him being hurt. But when Wee Man got the super glue in his armpit, he was just like, rip it off, kind of thing. But there was was it 2 when he threw out the little air parachute and he spun around like this into the water?
Oh yeah.
And he missed a tree, but like that much.
Yeah.
But I love Wee Man. Wee Man was one of
He
my
also
favorites.
seems like he's one of the most authentic.
He
Because
is.
he
I think that's
because
why I
unlike the
like
other
him
guys, because
so
like a
much.
lot of times like something will go down, whatever prank, whatever, and some of the guys are laughing so it's like fake laughing, like ha ha ha, and you can tell they're like overacting. But
Yeah.
Wee Man always felt authentic whether he thought it was
You had a
funny
big
or he was
problem with
pissed off
that
about something or
during the
whatever.
rewatch.
What's
Was
that?
them you had a big problem with that during the rewatch which was the supposed fake laughing.
The fake
Where
overacting laughing, yeah.
yeah, the overacting laughing. Now granted, I mean there are times when you're with a bunch of guys, you do some shit and it's funny, but there's the times where they're all doing the point and your open mouth, super wide laugh kind of thing. Where it's like, all right, you're turning the level up there. But yeah, no, Wee Man was the most authentic. Probably my favorite Wee Man moment was was it 2 or is it? I think it might have been 3 when he was sitting on the electric stool
Oh,
and he thought he was getting the
you got a
card
card
thrown at
throwing
it.
machine.
He's like, he's got a card through. And then just everyone's reaction to that. That like was like that was the funniest moment to me was him saying something so blatantly dumb and everyone losing their minds over it because it was just like you can't. There's no way Wee Man staged that. Like Wee Man was just like that was went off the top of the head. And then when he finally figured out that the chair was rigged, just him just like just getting mad. But yeah, I mean that's the main crew for the most part. But um yeah, I was never a fan of Dave England's character. Like I said, it's all shit related, and I don't really care.
Well, I will say though, but even then, like I said, I still found that to be some of the funniest stuff. Like in the first one, where he goes into like the hardware store, or whatever, just
He
takes a
takes a
shit in
shit
the
in the
toilet
toilet.
that's there. There were the I think I want to say it was the last one maybe where the guys like paid him $200 to eat a piece of cow shit. It was like
Yeah. There's that, and then
it
there
was
was
still
when
funny to watch, but yeah, they were. He was weirdly obsessed with shit skits.
well, the funny thing that you and I always said was every time he did an actual stunt, he always hurt his ass.
He did. He always laid his ass like, "Oh, my butt hurts so much."
Like,
Every time.
kind of thing. The rest of the other people that show up, I mean, that was a part that to me which irked me, especially in the first one, was when they brought in people who were celebrities, and then the celebrities, like whether it be skateboarders or anything, they try to take the screen away from the Jackass crew. It's like get out of the. You're not what we came to see. Like get out of the screen or get out of the shot. But yeah, it's now the one thing that I think to me worked better when I was younger, and I don't know if it worked better for you when you were younger, but it definitely didn't work for either one of us this time around. Was definitely the old people skits.
Yeah.
Maybe because Bad Grandpa just put a bad taste in our mouth because we were just like,
Well, no, because even at the time, even with the first movie, and I'm trying to remember if they did it on the show before the movie. I don't know for sure.
I don't know. I don't think they would have had the budget to
I don't
really
think they
do that
did.
in the show.
But definitely from the first movie, it's like, it was funny for 30 seconds one time. Then every time they went back to it, it was like A, the stuff mostly just wasn't funny. B, it was clearly fake and staged where nobody would believe what was going on. And also, I mean, everyone close up to them, I guarantee you they'd be able to tell that was makeup. They're not going to buy into that. So it's kind of like,
I think the only 2 times I laughed with the old people on the rewatch was the one where I don't remember which character it was in the suit, but was when he was going down the hill and he was like, "Oh my god, my brakes! Help! Help!" And then if like you see this dude just booking it down the hill trying to help,
it's stuff like that, little quick moments. I can
yeah,
believe those. Yeah.
yeah. And then he was just like, "That was fun. Can you take me out there and do it again?" And then there was the part where I think the same character fell asleep into the traffic, and like everyone was getting out of their car, and like every time they got close, he just kept moving like as he was asleep. Like that was funny. Now, old Knoxville, those skits always ran too long. Whether it's him
And
trying
of
to
course, then they
stop
made a whole
it.
movie of them. So you're like, oh my God.
What's that?
And then, of course, they made a whole movie of that.
Yeah, exactly. They basically took the one old man skit that was not funny at all, which was in 3, or no, 3 was when he was making out with the granddaughter. 2 was when he had the kid.
Mm.
They took the one of the most unfunny moments, which is Grandpa with an asshole kid, and having him just be a horrible child in front of everybody, and like, let's make that a movie. And it's like, no one likes that because they did exactly what I said the movies are doing now. They're like, let's give a storyline to this. It's like,
well, I think the problem was they were like, at the time, I think they were like, giant action movies, people basically want to, make a movie because like Jackasses were so successful, but they're like, I want to do these fucking, stunts and stuff anymore. Like, what's the one thing in our show that we can do that's not going to involve doing stupid stunts and hurting ourselves? So they did that. Of course, now then, another 10 years later, they make a movie anyway. But
I think it was one of those things too, is because it was after I think all the rest of the Jackass people probably didn't want to come back and do a Jackass movie, and Knoxville wanted to do something Jackass-like.
Yeah.
And that's where Bad Grandpa came in. Now, granted, I've already seen one of the trailers, and they're bringing the old man part back.
Oh, I'm sure I'll be in it. Just hopefully not too much.
But yeah, but there's the one skit in 3 with where they go to the motorcycle store, and Knoxville gets on the moped, and he turns around, and both you and I were like, that would never have gas in it. There would never have keys in the fucking moped. There's no way he would have been able to start that. The salesman would have ran over as soon as he revved that thing up. Like, all that was, we were both just like, this is a bullshit skit.
Well, and that was another one where it's just like, to me, it could still have been funny without trying to pretend. Because, like, yes, the people in the store were obviously going to be in on it, but you'd still surprise people outside when the thing comes crashing through that was clearly fake glass. So it's like,
but they focused the camera on everyone on the inside.
Yeah, the people who were in on it. So yeah.
Oh, now had he gone in and done the, granted, I think that's probably what everyone thought he was going to do. Was he was going to come in and just knock them all down?
Right.
That I think would be more believable for people to fall for than him revving up a motorcycle inside of a shop room where none of them have gas in it, and drive out and then drive away like he's stealing it. And it's like, no. Yeah. But then there's stuff like that where sometimes it is the reactions of people. There was the in 2 when Bam and Knoxville fall through the ceiling and the one guy just books it.
Oh yeah. They look like they're robbing a jewelry store or something.
Yeah, and then one guy was just like, book this, and just sort of booking it down the street. There's like stuff like that worked. It was funny, and it worked because sometimes the crowd reactions were the best part.
Yeah.
Especially when you got people very animated like that guy. And then obviously this is not going to happen in the 4th one. No more Rip Taylor, because Brian loves every time Rip Taylor showed up.
That man has never ever in his life been funny. I mean, even back in his whatever Hollywood Squares days or whatever, that Rip Taylor has never been funny in his life. The only people who like that are the kind of people who like the humor and like It's a Mad, 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 Mad World, which I won't name names. But it's that kind of lame, like, take my wife, please. That's their idea of humor. Like, okay, enjoy that. But at the end of every movie he shows up, and I'm just like, oh, please no.
Probably one of my all-time favorite skits is in the 3rd one. Which, great, like I said, I didn't care for the 3rd one because of all the excess 3D, which you were very, very positive towards the 3D stuff.
Well, the thing is, at the time, I remember being excited about it, and then going back to rewatch it for probably the first time since theaters, I was excited to watch it again because a movie like this would use 3D for the gimmick that it is. I mean, and really, I mean, while there are 3D movies that add depth and things like that, really 3D is a gimmick, and the ones that use it best are things like the Final Destination movies, Harold and Kumar, and even this, when it's like just using it as a gimmick to make shit fly out at you, But the problem is when you watch it like now, not in 3D, it's just things pointing at or coming to the camera for no reason at all, which always makes it kind of funny to watch. But honestly, besides the opening and the closing and 1 or 2 things in the middle, I'm not even sure the rest of it was even in 3D. Because they would have been like just taking grainy video and arranging it, and it wouldn't have really looked right. So.
Hands down, probably my favorite skit in 3 though was the swinging hand.
Oh,
that to me was the funniest moment in 3, which it's one of the first skits too, which is kind of a bummer for me. But if there was one skit I hope they bring back for 4, it's the slamming hand, which I've seen pictures. I've seen the slam hand. I have not seen anything about. All I've seen is a still, and there's 2 slam hands together, and I'm like, yes, they're bringing back the hands. That's all I wanted.
Although in that, I can just what I know from the trailer, it's that they know it's there. It's like they're competing, like which hand's going to hit the person first or something like that. But what made it work in that one 3 was that it was completely unexpected. The best moment is when Bam.
Again, Bam.
This is like first thing in the morning. He's arriving for work in the morning, essentially. He's walking in, and just the first thing he gets is bam, his hand, and he gets the flower. All of it gets what they call antiqued.
Yeah, the antique. And once again, Wee Man, hey man, high five. Bam took it the hardest out of everybody.
Yeah, he just went down.
Always fucking with Bam. And I think it's because Bam's just the most like emotional of the group. But yeah, one of my favorite skits, hand down. Is there any other skits that you want to
Yeah,
bring
there's
up?
just a few I noted. In the first one, we already talked about most of the ones I liked, but for some reason, one of the ones I always remember is the box truck roller disco.
That one's great.
Because that's something I can almost see like some people I know at the time doing that kind of thing. Is putting on roller skates in the back of he's just driving in circles around the parking lot and they're flopping everywhere. Um, that was good. As far as gross ones, there's the leech to the eyeball is the one you didn't mention for Stevo.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh my god, leeches are bad enough, but then to put it on his eyeball, I was like, this dude's fucking stupid.
Yeah, that
Um,
one was rough.
I really enjoyed the pube beard terrorist, which we already discussed that one. The one with April and Phil that I think I enjoyed maybe the most was when while April was sleeping, they swapped out Phil for Preston. And it's in the dark and she can't really see, but she's trying to feel his beard and stuff. And although nowadays they couldn't do that because it'd be considered like basically sexual assault because he's in there
Yeah,
like,
pretty
putting his
much.
arm around her in the dark and
Without
touching
her
her.
consent and everything.
Yeah. And
Did
then
he feel bigger?
the last one that we haven't mentioned that I always remember from 3, and it's the jet engine.
Yes, oh my
Because
god.
how do you
I
get
remember when I was watching it the
die?
other night and they threw that football. You saw
Well, because like at one point it starts out with somebody sitting behind it,
yeah,
like
Dunn
Maxell
was doing
commercials.
the THX thing.
Yeah, and he gets blown and starts rolling, and they're like, "Wow, man, that's rough." But then they start like throwing things up in it. It goes, "Whoosh," and you're like, "Oh yeah, there's no way they can stand in front of that." But they do. They start throwing shoes and that. It's like hitting people. It's like, how are they not dying?
Well, that and
As
Knoxville tried
fast
to
as the
catch
jet engine can
yeah,
shoot that
Knoxville
thing
tried
at
to
you.
catch the football, and like, dude's like, you're gonna break your hand.
Yeah.
And then they threw the tomatoes up there, and it was like this is gone. This split second, like it was insane. Like also one from 3 that I loved, which like because there's a few was like, oh, I would do that. That sounds like fun. 3 was when they jumped off onto the what do you call it, the air.
Oh, it has a name. I
Thing.
think they call it the blob when they're
The blob. Yeah, and they
Oh, blob.
shoot them up in the air, and then everyone's like, pull! And they're shooting paintball guns at the guys. I would do that. That would be fun. It would hurt, but that would be one of those I'm like, oh, I would totally do that. I would be shooting, and I would jump off that thing.
Yeah.
That's one of those ones where it's like, I could have watched that for at least another few more minutes.
Oh, and that
I could have
reminds me
watched
of
everyone do
another
that.
of the Preston Wee Man skits with the bungee jump thing.
That's
It's
right.
funny because I want to say it was Bam that came up with the idea because he goes, I don't write down my ideas, I just draw pictures, and he showed
Yes.
a picture of it.
Yeah,
And
that
it
was
was
Bam.
basically Preston and Wee Man were connected with a bungee cord, and Preston was just standing up there, and Wee Man jumped off, but of course then it pulls Preston off. But the best part is like after Preston passes him up and hits the water, it just pulls him down.
Wee Man just looks like a doll just being yanked out.
That was my favorite Preston Wee Man skit.
That's why I love Wee Man, because Wee Man you could do so much with. Like there was also the
They
oh
also had the
god.
hot midget in the one with the bar.
Yeah, I was gonna say there was the one where the all midget skit where he's with a hot woman and then like another little person, not midget, little
I
person
was just saying how
boyfriend.
it was described in the skit.
Well,
but
yeah.
yes.
Little person boyfriend comes in. They get into a fight with a bunch of other little people. Then the police come in. They're all little people, and the paramedics come in. They're all little people, and everyone in the bar is just like, what's going on? And to me, my favorite.
The security lady is just standing there watching it.
Yeah, and my favorite little person skit, because obviously, like I said, we did a lot. They do a lot where Preston's just chasing Wee Man. But there's the one where I think they're in India, where he's chasing them and they go off screen, and then Preston comes back around. He's being chased by like 20 of them, and he's just running off. And there's always the one that's like behind everybody. That's like he's just like trying his best, but he's like way behind the rest of the pack, and he's going holding like a stick and stuff. That was one thing that didn't really work for us watching these was when they went on location. Like the Japan stuff was the only thing that made me laugh into Japan was Night Pandas. And that was more or less because they kept when they would bump them into shit. Like there was the one I think they Bam bumped Dunn into like what was like a jewelry table thing, and like that looked painful as hell. But yeah, most of like Japan,
I just didn't understand why because I mean, most of it was just kind of the on the street kind of making people look at them funny things, which, like we said, maybe they went there because they were too recognizable in the US, but it's
Yeah.
like being in India or Japan had almost no effect on any skit they did for the most part.
Not really, because it was a 2 they were in India. 3, I don't think they went anywhere. Well,
I don't
no,
recall
3
that.
they went places, but they didn't like make it a huge focal point like they did with India and 2 and Japan and 3. Because I mean, there was one point where didn't they shoot Knoxville or they shot someone off and like on the other side was Germany, and they're like he didn't make it to Germany kind of thing. So I mean, they were there. That and the Dunson brothers were in the skit. Aren't they Dutch?
I don't know.
I think they're Dutch. The Dunsons were stupid anyway, but there's that skit because they were like on the snow mountain. They did the Santa Claus skit where they chopped down the tree.
It wasn't really Germany anyway. They were just talking because they said something about, you're going to shot across the channel from England to Germany. I'm like, Germany isn't just across the channel from
Well, I
England.
mean, it's the Jackass guys. But yeah. Anything else you want to add for this?
Those are the main ones that I
retrospective?
jotted down that I remembered. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much, but it's just we're trying to think about it. But yeah, I mean, like I said, we enjoy the films. Granted, these guys, I checked their ages. Shockingly, the oldest is Dave England. Dave England's the oldest of the group, and then it's Knoxville, and then everyone else is like in their 40s. Like England and Knoxville are both in their 50s now. Bam and Bam's not really in for.
Well, Knoxville was 49 when they filmed this. That's a big part of the trailer.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, because Stevo makes some comment after Knoxville. I think I want to say it's after the bull scene I was talking about. Stevo makes some comment about, they say that concussions aren't that bad as long as you get in before you're 50, and Knoxville is 49, so I think he's okay.
Yeah, because he's 50 now. And granted, when they shot it, so but yeah, everyone else is in their 40s, but I mean they're like 42 and older kind of thing. So I mean, they shouldn't be taking this abuse anymore. But
Well, I wonder how much of this one is I don't want to say worried about it, but it's like I wonder if this one's going to lean more into the gross stuff or the old grandpa skits, things like that, because it's like I don't know how much punishment they can take.
Their bodies can take, yeah.
Just A, because of their age, and B, because of how much they've already punished their bodies.
Their primary guy who did the dangerous stuff is no longer with them anymore, which is done.
Yeah.
And technically Bam as well. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where they go with this.
When I look, it looks like they have their core group, and then it looks like they've added a bunch of people, which
I know.
So I think younger people that maybe will do more of that kind of stuff. I don't know.
Maybe that's what they're probably going to do is they're bringing in a younger core group that can do the crazier shit, that's willing to do the crazier shit with the Jackass guys around them, which that doesn't sound fun, but you got to do what you got to do. As long as it works, I'm not going to be upset with it. I mean, we'll find out. But that's where we have high hopes. We hope Jackass Forever is great. Now, granted, it's I'll do a review, but it's kind of hard to do a review for a skit movie. It really is. But yeah, there'll be a review for Jackass Forever. I'm not gonna rate it like a normal movie because it's not a movie. It's a skit.
It's the kind of movie that you look at just as how much did I
enjoy,
how much did it entertain me, not how good the movie is.
Yeah, the plot was fantastic and the character development of these characters was amazing. Especially when Pontius took a thing in the dick. It's like you can't do that. But there will be a review for Jackass Forever. But we wanted to talk about these first 3 films because, like I said, we're excited to see the 4th one. We wanted to do this for Scream, but we forgot. We basically forgot about it. And
it also happened to fall during our month that we were just going to take off.
Exactly. We wanted to take January off because December was a lot for Brian and I. We really needed a breather.
But if you like hearing us talk about franchises, you're in luck.
What's that?
But if people like hearing us talk about franchises, they're in luck.
Exactly, because we'll go ahead and go into the new format. So like we said, at the end of December, Weekend Crusaders. We're not doing that at least for the next year or two, so we can kind of give us more options for movies for the following years. We are going to be doing a weekly show every week. For the most part, one is something like this, which is I call franchise flashback, where we are going to be talking about franchise, going over the best and worst, highlights, lowlights, what we see going on with the franchise in the future. pretty much just anything in terms of the franchise. This month, we're going to be doing Batman because Batman, or The Batman, coming out March 4th. So be on the lookout for that. Our next video is going to be the Movie Crusaders Chat About, which is going to basically be our topic show where we do a certain topic talking about things that we just always wanted to talk about, but we either maybe touched on it a little bit during the Weekend Crusaders, but we want to actually like take the time to talk about it. Our very, very first episode is going to be, why we love movies, what made us love movies, and Brian and I are going to say we're going to talk about that kind of stuff. You guys might not give a shit, but we want to talk about it, so we're going to. And we'll have other topics throughout the year. One of them I'm actually really excited about is man tears, movies that made us tear up and cry, because we are secure in our masculinity and we are not afraid to admit when movies made us cry. We also will be doing an episode basically called the Actor, Actress, Director Showcase, where we pick an actor, actress, and director. We talk about some of our favorite films of them, when we first took notice of them, where we thought their career hit their highs and their lows, or maybe no lows yet, but there are definitely a lot of them that are going to have lows. And just kind of talking about them in general. And then we will have a general month special episode where we will do something around that month. Something's holiday things, so we'll do something holiday centric, or if some big things coming out that month, we'll do something that's surrounding that movie. This month it's February, obviously Valentine's Day, so we are doing the ultimate rom-com face-off, where Happily Ever After, maybe, where we're going to go over a little over 50 couples, favorite rom-com movie couples, and Brian and I are going to have the discussion. Are they still together? Yes or no? Did they survive and live happily ever after that the movie said so, or are they part of that 50% of divorce and they now hate each other and basically hand off the kid on the weekends? That's what we're basically going to discuss there. So we got all these shows coming out here in the next month. Like I said, we have more and more shows coming out. Like I said, we're kind of just going month by month, doing whatever we want to do, as well as movie reviews that are going to be coming out as well. But yes, we hope you guys enjoyed this episode that we went back and talked about the Jackass franchise. And like I said, Jackass Forever comes out tonight. Like I said, I'll be on there for a quick review. I don't know if Brian's going to get on or not. It kind of depends. Like I said, because it's Jackass. But we hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you guys did, go ahead and hit that like, share, and subscribe button to the channel. Guys, stay up to date with all the latest videos pop up on the Movie Crusaders. Of course, don't forget to follow us on all the social media outlets you see below. And yeah, I'm Sean Washkrug. That is Brian Michaels. We're the Movie Crusaders. Until next time, in case we don't see you, good morning, good afternoon, and good night, Movie Crusaders.
You're still here. It's over. Go home.